Hello there. So today we're going to be taking a look at the new program I'm going to be starting for Supertotal, which is weightlifting plus powerlifting, as well as a couple odd lifts in one-arm snatch and bench press. And so programming for this is generally difficult. There's not really much programming of this sort anywhere online, so I kind of have to do it myself. And so what I've done is I've created a structure that is fairly simplistic and formulaic. We have an A day and a B day, which is kind of the heart of the program. The real problem in general for this is, since I'm trying to train for strength in 7 lifts, and, you know, 4 of them are highly technical, a lot of problems come up because you're trying to have enough volume of the exercise in order to develop, you know, both muscularity and capacity, but also you need to train a lot of these very frequently, and you also have to recover from all of that. In particular, the shoulders are generally pretty fried because almost everything involves shoulder. Like the bench involves the shoulder, the clean and jerk, the snatch, the one-arm snatch, and the bench press are all shoulders, pretty heavy on the shoulder stability, and so I won't have too much in terms of accessories on like shoulder stability or just shoulder stuff in general. I try and avoid it, and I try and stick to the main lift. So let's take a look. The A day and the B day both feature 21 sets of primary exercises, and so I'm going to be doing 4 like primary exercises on each of those days, which is quite a lot, but I think this is the best way to kind of have the frequency up. So there's going to be 6 sets of one-arm snatch, 3 with each arm on the A day, 5 sets of snatch, 5 sets of squat, 5 sets of bench. The weights, or the percentages, as well as the rep ranges, are going to depend on the structure or where I am in the program, which we'll cover later, but it's going to be 5 sets. And then we have accessories. Each accessory is just going to be 2 sets unless it states otherwise. The accessories, generally speaking, I'm looking for an RPE of like somewhere between 6 and 8, you know, challenging but not hyper difficult. Try and go for PRs while staying in that RPE range, and so I'll generally vary the rep range depending on, you know, where, if I think I could get a PR in a RPE range of 6 to 8. If I don't think I can hit a PR in an RPE range of 6 to 8, I just won't make an attempt and I'll just do something easier. In general, at the start of the program, in the higher volume phase of the program, so the 5s and the 3s phase, I will be doing, you know, higher ranges on the reps for the accessories, so, you know, sets of 8 to 15, and then in the middle, kind of the 3s and the 1s-ish, we will be doing, you know, sets of 6 to 10, something in that, and then sets of like 3 to 5 as I get closer and closer to the max out, which is, you know, trying to make, we are trying to like progress and be more specific towards conditioning to be doing singles, and so even the accessories will be going that direction as well. As far as selection, just quickly going over it, Spoto press I've selected because the Spoto press is where you take a bench and you come up maybe 3 to 4 inches, and you come down 3 to 4 inches off your chest, and then you press from there. That around there is my sticking point on bench, and so that's why I've included the Spoto press. It's a partial range of motion, but just the ability to stop it and have that control. Going to be developing that. And then we have 4 sets of either leg extension or rack pulls. I'm really not sure which one I think is better. This is mainly for my deadlift. My sticking point is pretty high. It's extremely high. It's like above my knee. So either doing rack pulls from my sticking point position or doing leg extensions to try and improve the drive of my quads at the very, very top is going to be kind of where I'm looking at. What's interesting about leg extensions is, so my squat is way better than my deadlift. My deadlift is like 600 pounds. My squat is 650. In particular, with squat, it's not very challenging at the very top of the range of motion. The very like end extension of the quads is not very challenging just because of the mechanics of it. You know, you have almost your entire leg underneath you. Like, I forget the technical word for it. Like, the moment arm is not very disadvantageous, but the opposite is true with leg extensions, because your leg is parallel to the floor. When you are extending, the way that the arm of the extension, it's actually the hardest at the end of the range of motion, and so that's why I would be doing leg extensions, to be working on the quad strength at the very end of the range of motion, which I think will transfer decently over to, you know, Olympic lifting for like the extension portion, you know, because where your legs need to be strongest is actually at the end. And I think it might also carry over for locking out deadlifts, because that is where I just really struggle. Then we have dumbbell supinating curls, so going from a neutral grip position, coming up and supinating as much as possible in the curls. Generally speaking, I have to do maybe 40% of like a weight I could curl if I'm doing this, and so it's definitely a lot lighter in terms of how it's going to be, you know, working on the bicep. But the primary point is I want to strengthen supination more than anything. A lot of the hand like modalities, other than flexion and extension, are important for the bench press and the one arm snatch, and they don't normally get worked out in barbell work, and so I'm really trying to bring up a lot of that with the forearm strength stuff. So then we have neutral grip kettlebell tricep extensions, and so this helps with, if you have a neutral grip and then you're doing tricep kickbacks, and you are trying to keep the kettlebell in place with the neutral grip, what you're going to have is you are going to be having to push the kettlebell like this, which is ulnar deviation, I think. Radial deviations towards the thumb, ulnars away. With this, it's also going to be going through a range of motion where it will go from being easy to hard, and you're trying to maintain a neutral grip the entire time, which means that you are trying to maintain a neutral grip with changing amounts of force being applied to trying to maintain that neutral grip. So it's a little bit different than just like an isometric hold. Again, it's going to be a lot less than I could kick back if I wasn't gripping a kettlebell with a neutral grip, which obviously has the kettlebell center of gravity is a lot further from your hand, whereas if you had a dumbbell, it'd be right on the hand. And so this is to try and strengthen ulnar deviation, as well as just be kind of a light tricep exercise as well. And then we have kettlebell knee raises. This is just standing knee raises with the kettlebell, with our toe inserted into the kettlebell. And so the idea is to just work on hip flexors. Generally speaking, I think my hip flexors could use some work, you know, working the opposite end of things. I think it's going to help a little bit for getting into the positions. I struggle generally with the weightlifting. I struggle to get into the bottom positions, and so I think working on the hip flexor strength will allow me to pull myself into the bottom positions more comfortably, or feel stronger in the bottom positions. I think this is just generally a weakness for me, so I'm going to be working on it on both the A day and the B day. Okay, so for the B day, we have cleans and jerks. These are done separately. Generally speaking, I think I'm wanting to do these separately on my B days, and then I'll be doing them together on the soft Maxout day for the C1 day. And then we have 3 sets of bench press with each arm, so that's 6 sets total, and then 5 sets of deadlift. For the accessories, we have above the knee clean pulls, so clean pulls from just above the knee. I think my positioning for this sort of pull is not very good for the clean, and so it's both working on the technique, and I think that this as an accessory will have some strength carryover to locking out the deadlift, which is again where I struggle, and so that's why I'm going to be kind of pushing this as like, this is the only weightlifting central accessory I think I have in here. The rest is mainly geared towards powerlifting or the one arm lifts in terms of the accessories, and this is in here. Next up we have a single arm barbell rows. So this is just when you are rowing with the barbell, there's a lot of, you know, the barbell can move a lot, and again, this will just kind of trying to maintain control of it will help with ulnar and radial deviation, just in terms of maintaining that strength even as the angle of your forearm and hand is changing. Just trying to keep the barbell as straight as possible is going to help for, you know, trying to maintain a very strong like hand position in the one arm snatch and the bench press. Same idea for javelin press. So javelin press is you unrack it and you have it in a neutral grip and you just press it with the barbell. This is going to be, again, it's going to be working on the ulnar and radial deviation, because you will have to move through a range of motion trying to maintain, you know, as steady a grip as possible. And so, again, it's also going to work your shoulder. I have a little bit of concern about shoulder volume. If I have to back off somewhere, it will be backing off of the javelin press as well as the spoto press. Okay. After this is barbell tricep extension. The reason why I'm doing barbell is because I think it helps a little bit with developing forearm mobility, as opposed to something with a either like a kettlebell or dumbbells or something like this, or like tricep push down, because at the end of the range of motion, you're kind of developing your mobility for cleans. My mobility for cleans is not the best. Like, I can't very easily do cleans and maintain a full grip on the bar, which would be preferable. This is something I'm going to be trying to work on throughout the program, is trying to develop that full grip on the clean. But yeah, so that's in there. And then we have barbell forearm curls, supersetted with reverse curls. And so this is just, working on extension and flexion, more specifically. Neutral grip kettlebell curls, kind of the same logic as the extensions, where you are working instead on radial deviation. So as you curl, like with a hammer curl grip through the range of motion with the kettlebell that has the center of gravity out, you will have to work on this range of motion specifically, and just trying to keep it neutral. You're going to have a different amount of force as you move through the range of motion. It's going to increase and then decrease and then increase and then decrease. When you're parallel to the floor is when the force is going to be greatest, and this is just kind of working on that. Notably, the force is changing throughout the lift, and so I think this is like vastly superior to just like an isometric hold, because it properly simulates what you'll experience with, a one-arm snatch or bent press, where when you start to get out of position, the amount of force you're going to need to apply increases and decreases dynamically. Okay, and then we have hip flex overs. So this is just sitting with the kettlebell and raising the hip over the kettlebell, and the way you overload is just by increasing the amount you need to raise your hip over. Like, you just bring the kettlebell closer and closer and closer, so you'll have to raise your leg higher. Again, just a hip flexor thing. With my last program, what I found was that I did not often enough go heavy with the clean and jerk and the snatch, and so when I switched over to doing singles from doing triples and doubles, I struggled a lot because I wasn't doing it a lot in the programming. A lot of weightlifting programs do like Maxout Fridays, and so what I've tried to do incorporate into the program this time is roughly every 8 to 10 days I'm going to be doing a soft Maxout with both snatch and clean and jerk for singles, while during most phases of the programs either doing triples or doubles with snatch and clean and jerk. Okay, to this end, I've also I've included a smattering of days that are weightlifting skill work and complexes. Towards the beginning of the program, they'll start out like more specialized, like I'll be doing no hook, no foot snatch, muscle snatches, drop snatches, like these types of things, and also complexes. And then as I work to the later parts of the program, it'll start to look more like just the movement itself. Like, it'll be snatch pull plus snatch, or snatch plus overhead squat, and it'll be much more complete versions of the stuff, but still complexes, trying to work on specific stuff. That's why I put to be determined. I'm not sure exactly what all things I need to work on. I think I actually do need to do a lot of pulls from the ground and focus on pulls, and so this might be a lot of pulls. And then I will be doing 3 plyo exercises, different ones. As the accessories, these again will increase as the program goes on, to increase in intensity. So like starting off, it'll be like pogo, like jump, catch yourself on one leg, and like maybe box jump or something. And towards the end, it'll be like depth drop, depth jump, like box jumps, something like this, much higher intensity plyo. And then for the E-Day, D-Day is just a rest. At the very end, I included an E-Day, which is going to be a soft max with one arm snatch and bent press. And the E-Day is going to be kind of when I'm alternating in each, microcycle. I'm either doing a C1 day or a C2 day. When I do a C2 day, generally I'll also be doing an E-Day, which is just a soft max on the one arm snatch and the bent press. Again, I had the same experience when I switched from doing triples and doubles over, that I didn't feel like I quite had the technical skills for much heavier movements, especially with the bent press, because the last training session I didn't do full bent presses. I did bent press plus negatives, which is just way lighter. And so when I actually got to the bent press, even though I did quite well, I felt really out of my depth because everything just felt so heavy when I got to the singles. And then for accessories, we're going to have double kettlebell bent press, so that's holding 2 kettlebells. Again, this is primarily working to work the hand. And then supersetted with bottoms-up kettlebell windmills. So the kettlebell is just up, and this will be quite light, and it will really not trying to work the hand mostly with this. And then barbell side bends, which are a little bit similar to the barbell single arm rows. Obviously, dumbbell side bends are quite a bit easier. The point of making it barbell is to work the ulnar and radial deviation on the hand. Okay, so how are these days structured is the second part, where we're going to have the training cycle is going to be around 80 days. I will take extra days. I don't operate off of weeks, so like normally what people use for a microcycle is a week. For example, here, the first microcycle of the first phase is 4 days, and then the next one's 6 days. And so I have a flexible enough schedule that I can do this, and so it's going to be, yeah, there's going to be 4 mesocycles. There's going to be a 5s phase, a 3s phase, a 1s phase, and a max-out phase. The 5s phase, for the powerlifting movements in the A days, I will be doing 5 reps, and for the weightlifting and oddlifting movements, so the snatch, clean and jerk, one arm snatch, and bent press, I will be doing triples, because generally these don't lend themselves as much to higher rep ranges as a general rule of thumb. I will also be doing larger, for all of the accessories, I will be also doing larger rep ranges, you know, focusing kind of in the upper end of the range, like between 10 and 15. And then the percentages I will be doing will be based on the percentage of the X rep max. So for the A day here, for example, I will be doing squat. I will not be doing 60% of my 1 rep max. I will be doing 60% of my 5 rep max. And so, last time my program kind of had like this undulating pattern where I was doing like 5s, 5s, 3s, 5s, 3s, 1s, 3s, 3s, 1s, like 5, 3, 1, like this type of thing. Now I'm just going straight across. It's going to be 5s, 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 and then 3s, 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 and then 1s, 1s, 1s in terms of the rep range patterning. And it's just going to go from like overloading, pretty simple. The first mesocycle, 60%, the second mesocycle, or sorry, microcycle, 80%. So this is the first one. We're going to do A day, B day, C1, which is soft max, and then D. And all this is going to be done at 60%, except for the the A and B days are going to be done at 60%. The C1 day is a soft max out. The D day is rest. And then we have A, B. This will be done at 80%. C2, which is skill work day, rest day, and then maxing out on the 1 arm snatch and the bent press, and then rest day. And so this is how this is like kind of structured. I probably could have done this in an Excel spreadsheet to make it like easier to look at, but this is what I'm going to be doing. And for me, it's I'm not trying to be super precise with all these. In general, for the percentages, this will be my top set, and I will also do, if I'm feeling pretty good or feels pretty good, I will do most of the sets at this percentage, and if I don't feel good, I'll only do 1 set at this percentage, so there is some auto-regulation. Generally speaking, on the first microcycle of each of these, I will almost certainly be doing most of the sets at the percentage, and then when I get towards the end, I'll probably just be doing the top set. Okay. So we have, and then the third microcycle is the same as the first, you know, A day, B day, soft max, but the third microcycle is going to be done at 92% of my 5 rep max for the powerlifting movements and 92% of my 3 rep max for the weightlifting oddlift movements. Then we're taking a rest, and then notably, whenever I'm doing 102.5%, the way it's going to work is I'm going to attempt to do 102.5%. If it feels really good, I will take one more attempt at something higher. But if it doesn't feel really good, I will not try anything higher. I don't want to have any misses in the program, so it has to feel exceptionally good. Otherwise, I'm just taking like the new PR and kind of going with it. Notably, also, no accessories. I just want to decrease the volume a little bit, you know, to make recovery a little bit easier. And this entire mesocycle is going to be around 18 days. This is a bit of a concern for me. I kind of want to have mesocycles that are a little bit longer. As the program goes on, the mesocycles do get longer. I'm concerned that this is not a long enough time to make adaptations and overload, but it's a bit difficult because I'm trying to have the frequency of a lot of these lifts really high, and so yeah, I mean, I could do something where, you know, I add more microcycles and then increase, have more jumps instead of having, you know, 60% to 80, 80 to 92, and to 102. Like, instead of just having these 3 jumps, I could have more jumps. This is perhaps something to do. I'm not sure if it's... we'll see how I feel about this, and if I feel it's... I'm making 2 jumps, like jumps too fast, and I can't compensate, then we'll switch it up. And then we have the threes phase, which it's going to look very much the same, you know, starting with an A day and a B day, which is just like kind of the core of the program, and then a variable weightlifting day, which will be either followed by soft max outs with the like odd lifts or not. And so it's A day, B day. Notice I'm alternating C1 and C2 microcycles, or weeks. These aren't weeks because they're either 4 days or 6 days basically. But okay, so A day, B day, and then what C2 is skills accessory day, rest day. Then we have soft max on one arm snatch and bench press, and then A day, B day, soft on weightlifting, etc. And then this for the third microcycle, it's the same as 1, except I'm including an extra rest day because I'm more concerned about my max out session or my 102% plus sessions with my triples than I am with my 5s. In general, I kind of push it a little bit more on triples, I think, in terms of like, or I want to be a little bit more recovered for the triples. And I think my triples PRs in general are a bit stronger relative to my strength, so I'm including the extra rest day. In general, if I just at any point in time feel like I need another rest day, I'm going to take it. And then we have the 4th week, the 102% week or microcycle, which is A day rest, B day rest. Notably, on the 102%, there is a rest between the A day and the B day, which is not present for any of the other microcycles. So just kind of should be a little bit easier on the body in terms of that, but also harder on the body because it's 102%. Notably, these A days and these B days, when they're 102% plus, have been really, really tough, and this was my experience last training cycle because I was doing something very similar to this, and they're very tough because I'm not just doing 102% of one-arm snatch, but I'm also doing the snatch and the squat and the bench. And so doing 4 lifts at like new maximal levels is really, really tough in general. And maybe what I need to do for these, and what I might even end up doing depending on how the 5s phase goes, is bifurcating it into A1 day, A2 day rest, B1 day, B2 day rest, like this, and adding an extra 2 days on either the 5s or the 3s, depending if things feel really, really bad, you know, as I'm getting, or if I'm just exhausted after one-arm snatch and snatch at like 102.5%, I'll just, you know, come back the next day for the other ones. But this is kind of what my thought process is. I'm trying to, the reason I don't want to bifurcate those is because I'm trying to keep the frequency up, like really high, right? And so every time I take just the one-arm snatch and the snatch, or just the squat and the bench, like I'm decaying like the technical qualities of the lift. And so I'd almost rather not have a 102% day and have like a 97 day, and instead be able to have a higher frequency, I think, just as a kind of general heuristic. But okay, that's the 3s phase. And then we have the 1s phase, which is starting to differ a little bit. It's 27 days. So the first phase is a little over, it's like 2.5 weeks, and then 3 weeks on the dot, and then this is just under 4 weeks in terms of the length, and it has more jumps. So instead of just the 1, 2, 3 jumps, it's got a 4th and a 5th jump. And so we have the classic, C1 week, C2 week, which includes the max outs on the odd lifts versus the max out on the weightlifting, C1 week, C2 week, and then things get a little bit different. I'm just doing A-day, B-day, and then 2 rests, and this is with the 80%, and this is a bit of a mini deload, because just doing A's and B's with no accessories, and then followed by 2 rests, I think I will come in fairly fresh for the 102.5%, where I will be doing A-day. Let's do this, actually. I want to include a rest day between these two. And so it's going to be 28 days, actually. But the idea is I want to show up a little bit more fresh for the 102% day, because these are ones, any 102% effort is going to be a new 1 rep max. We're training for 1 rep maxes. I will probably not take any like 105% or 107% attempts on any of these. I'll probably just be happy with the 102, especially if it's like earlier in the day. So for example, if the clean feels really good at 102.5, I'm not going to attempt 105%, because I still have to do bench press and deadlift. In general, the deadlift and the squat, I imagine I'll have a hard time hitting like 2% PRs on these days, maybe even on the bench as well. And I think I will mainly hit PRs during the max out cycle. I have not currently structured the max out cycle yet. It's going to be 2 microcycles. It's going to be a deload week and then a max out week, which might take even longer than a week because I'm doing 7 different exercises. For this, I'm going to split up the days. So I'm not going to have, a day where I'm doing 4 main exercises. I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to try and get very real maxes. It's probably going to look a bit better for the squat and the deadlift, which are at the back of the days here, and probably not necessarily better for the one-arm snatch, the clean and jerk, the snatch, and these ones that are at the front. But I imagine this is going to be somewhere around 14 days. I'm probably going to take around 7 weeks or 7 days for the deload and 7 days to max out, somewhere along this, around this. Maybe take like 9 days to max out to include more rest days. The problem is, again, the frequency. So I might have to devise a max out cycle that has me like maxing out and then doing like 5 sets of snatch at like 60%. So I like might max out squat and then do 5 like sets of snatch at like 60% just to try and work on the technical qualities and not decay those too much. Something like this. I haven't really figured out a good way to max out 7 lifts yet, and this is just something I struggle with. I have no idea how to do it. Every time I max out, I just kind of feel terrible, and so like my deload and then my max out, like I haven't figured out how to structure it well yet. But often what has been true is I think a lot of my new maxes are going to come more in this ones phase than in my actual max out phase. But this is how I am planning on structuring all of this. And if we just take a quick look, like 8A, I'm doing snatch, and then I'm doing snatch here. And so like there's 8, or let's do the 21 days one. Okay, so for this 21 days one, if we're just looking at my snatch and my clean and jerk, I have 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8 days. So in 21 days, I'm working snatch and clean and jerk 8 days. I'm working bench, squat, deadlift each 4 days, right? Just the A days and the B days. And I'm working one-arm snatch and clean and jerk, I think 6 days. So, or sorry, not one-arm snatch and clean. One-arm snatch and bench press, I think, we're just talking frequency here, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So yeah, so the frequency overall is going to be roughly that, 8 days of weightlifting, or 8 sessions of weightlifting for each lift, because I'm counting A and B as one session, because one of them I'm doing the snatch and the other one I'm doing the clean and jerk. Every 3 weeks, 6 of the one-arm snatch and the bench press, which I think are just as technical maybe, and so maybe I might try and find more days to put them in, but it's tough, because I'm trying to have the rate at which I'm doing these lifts. be as high as possible in terms of frequency. And so I might have to turn some of these rest days into light days or something like this. And I could do something maybe to expand the mesocycles, because I want this 18 days. I think I'd be more comfortable if this was like 22 days, 25 days, and 32 days, something like this. And so maybe I'll find a way to, push this out with adding light days, and have these light days be just the weightlifting plus the one arm movements, to just increase the frequency overall, while trying to not increase the volume and intensity overall of these things, like just to try and bring down, and also to try and make this progression from 60% to 102 a little bit slower than just 2 weeks, right? Because that's why I want to change this, is because this progression from this, just in a little over 2 weeks, or in this case like 3 weeks here, this feels a little bit too faster than what I want. But this is going to be how I try and structure the program. And maybe I should start off with something more like 75%, and then it's this quick progression won't feel as harsh. But I want the 65% to really act like a deload from the previous phase. It's just a 4-day deload. There's no deload phases in here or deload microcycles except for right here. And so maybe that's where I need to include, just have, light days after the max outs. Just have 3 light days or something. I'm not sure. If you have an idea of how to program this better or to change it, feel free to put it in the comments. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, the YouTube algorithm stuff. And if you've been sitting a while, because this is YouTube, maybe take a break and take a walk, get a drink of water, these sorts of things. They do markedly improve quality of life, while not necessarily seeming like fun or entertaining things to do. But you might feel better after doing that than you have watching, this 30-minute YouTube video on what my program looks like. Anyways, have a good one.